Volvo, well, they just make large SUVs and estate cars, don't they? Not anymore, they don't.
This is the XC40, and as the name suggests, it sits under the XC60 in Volvo's range and becomes the Swedes' smallest SUV. It takes on the rather conventional German threesome, the Audi Q3, the Bmw X1 and the Mercedes GLA. And as we've come to expect from Volvo recently, it takes those cars on with a unique combination of design, flair and desirability, and somehow manages to avoid looking like a Russian doll against its two bigger brothers. There are also plenty of ways for you to personalise it both inside and out, with different roof colours, wheel designs and interior fabrics and colours. But all those options aren't apparent in this one because it's a first edition car and it comes in black. So you really don't get a sense of just how bold you can be. For example, you can get a lava orange carpet down there, which no doubt Batch would absolutely adore because he'll have trousers to match it. Anyway, what you do get a real sense of in here is just how great Volvo interiors are these days. Just like the other SUVs in the range, it's minimal, it's beautifully designed, and it has a really spacious feel. Now in reality, there isn't much more space on offer in here than in its rivals, but because of this simple design, it just has such a lovely light, airy feel. So let's move on to storage. We have decent sized glove box, really nice deep door bins. There's a great central storage compartment here just under all the power outlets, two good sized cup holders, and this is neat in here. It's a really useful storage space, but as a mum, this is something I love. A little removable rubbish bin. It's inspired. Now, every XC40 across the range comes fitted with this central Volvo infotainment system. It's the one you'll find in its larger cousins, the XC60 and the XC90. You know, as I've said before in Volvo reviews, this is one of my favourite infotainment systems. It takes a while to get used to, but once you do, it's brilliant, and it's tech that makes your life easier. I like the way the climate controls are just down here at the bottom, so you can access them easily whilst you're driving. And you've also got a basic set of controls down here, which is just very neat and discreet. And another plus for me on the XC40 is that these digital dials are fitted right across the range. But one thing to bear in mind is that Android Auto and Apple CarPlay do come as standard on this first edition model. In other models, you're going to have to pay £300 for them. There are 3 core trim levels, each one with a Pro model with extra kit, and there's a limited run first edition like our car. Momentum gets dual zone climate control, 18-inch alloys, rear parking sensors, auto wipers and cruise control, so it's pretty well equipped. Momentum Pro then adds heated front seats, a heated windscreen, adaptive headlights and auto folding side mirrors. While sporty R-Design has leather seats, and R-Design Pro throws in the heated front seats, 20-inch alloys and an electric driver's seat. Inscription gets ambient lighting, a powered tailgate, and amazingly for a premium car, metallic paint. Whilst Inscription Pro gets 19-inch wheels, and this first edition has every option box you can imagine ticked. Here in the back, well, like the rest of the car, the quality is excellent. You've got absolutely no complaints there. And it's also just very well considered. You have individual air vents, a power outlet. You've also got rear heated seats, little nets on the back of the seats, a storage compartment down there, and the door bins are a good size too. As for the rest of the space, well, the seat in front is set for somebody who is 6 foot and I'm 5'4", so as you can see, you've got plenty of leg room. Headroom is also really good back here, even with this sunroof. One thing I will point out though is that if you plan to fit 3 adults in the back of here, you'll find it quite a squeeze, and the transmission tunnel eats into space down here, so the best seat is probably best left for children. And speaking of children, the doors open nice and wide to make getting them in and out easy, and you get a couple of Isofix child seat points. Here at the back, well, space isn't class leading, but there's more than enough room for all of Batch's overnight bags along with me as well. And if you do need extra space, then the rear seats split and they fold completely flat. And you can opt for some clever dividers, which are part of a £350 convenience pack that fold up and stop your shopping from rolling around, whilst of course there are options of luggage nets and reversible mats. One thing worth bearing in mind though is that if you want a powered tailgate, well, that's only available on the Inscription model.
On the lower trim models, it will cost you £375.
The good thing about Volvo is that the engine range is always pretty simple. So for petrol, there's an entry-level 1.5 litre 3-cylinder with front-wheel drive. But we'd step up to the 188 brake horsepower 2-litre T4 with all-wheel drive and an auto gearbox. If diesel works for you, then we'd advise the D4 with its 188 brake horsepower 2-litre and all-wheel drive. Joining the range later will be a plug-in hybrid and an all-electric XC40 which comes in 2019.
So we've got the D4 here, it's the most powerful engine, and just like in many new Volvos, you know, it's not a remarkable engine, but it is pretty good. It pulls strongly low down in the range. The downside of that is that it is a little bit noisy, but once you open it up, things really do quieten down. But if you're trading up from a hatchback and hoping to have fun driving an SUV, then you might want to look at the Bmw X1, because the XC40 has been designed to be as comfortable and refined as possible. You know, it strikes a very nice balance between composure and comfort, but it can get caught out on those dodgy city streets, particularly at low speeds and if you go for the larger wheels. Stick with the original wheels and you're in for a treat. But in keeping with that comfortable ride, it won't come as a surprise to learn that the steering isn't the sharpest, and the gearbox isn't the quickest automatic or the slickest manual around. If those are the things that matter to you, as I've said, the BMW X1 or maybe the new Jaguar E-Pace are cars for you.
Volvo claims around 58 miles to the gallon, but we think it's worth going for the D4. And you should still see around 50 miles to the gallon from that engine in the real world. So that's the all-new XC40. It takes all the desirable things we love about the two larger SUVs in Volvo's range and puts them into a smaller package. But it's not just a case of, honey, I shrank the XC90, because the XC40 has a personality all of its own. And we think this could well be the small premium SUV to buy. Why not take a look at our video of the BMW X1 or our SUV playlist, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.